So I just wanted to record this short video to show people what it looks like more behind the scenes with Amazon Marketing Stream. This isn't so much like any top secret techniques that you can use. A lot of those things I think are being discussed on LinkedIn right now. But what I think people haven't seen is like mechanically what happens in the back end and like what the actual marketing stream data looks like when it comes in, because this all flows in through the API and more than likely lands in a SQL database. I just thought that some people might be interested in seeing like how all this stuff works on the back end. So this is our SQL editor that I use here at BetterAMS. And in this case, we're looking at one of the three different subscriptions or channels of data that come in through Marketing Stream. And so these are all the different columns that you can end up with. A lot of these are kind of common sense, but some of the ones that I think people would be interested in seeing are that there's a keyword ID, a campaign ID, and you can ultimately tie that campaign ID to a portfolio ID. Keep all that in mind. We'll get to that in a second. But along with that, you have all of these different attribution windows. So conversions based on 1 day, 7 day, 14, and 30 of attribution windows. You can see all the different ones and zeros for each of those windows. So for instance, on 7/14 from in the 11th hour window, so 11 a.m., here's one at 10 a.m., 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 13. You can see how many conversions for each attribution window came in. Another thing that I'll point out is you have all the different placements that these keywords are breaking down into. So you can actually break this down very, very granularly. And I'll get into the detriments and benefits of that in a second. But some of the other things that you can see here are a lot of familiar columns from different reports, same SKU, attribution, 1, 7, 14, 30, attributed sales, attributed orders. And that's pretty much it for the conversion data. For SP traffic, a lot of the same stuff, except it's more traffic related. So we're talking about impressions more here. You can see everything is still broken down by the campaign and the keyword and into each placement. And then the one that people really aren't talking about so much, but I think is also extremely valuable, is you have the budget usage for each, not each window, but each 5% of the budget that's been used either on the campaign or the portfolio level. So you can get a notification if you have, say, ranking strategy campaigns during Q4, and you want to be notified when they're at 80% or 95% of budget for the portfolio or the campaign. You can set this up where you can get like a Slack DM that says, hey, one of your really important campaigns for the holidays is about to go out of budget. Or you could connect this with its performance, saying, the ACOS, the conversion rate, is not doing that well, and it's about to go out of budget, might not want to do anything with it. You get where I'm going with this. So because the data comes in so granularly, you can really see what's going on for a specific placement. The same three modifiers that we see in the ad console. On the keyword level, you could also look at it on the ASIN level as far as the ad itself. And if you're running a single ASIN campaign, you can really break this down very well to see hourly what the performance of that ASIN is. So if you wanted to day part on the campaign level, the portfolio level, the ASIN level, or the keyword level, all that data is here to do that. What I would point out is that the data gets very thin when you don't have a lot that you're aggregating together. And I think that's why it's most common to do day parting at the campaign level rather than getting this granular, unless you have a really, really high volume keyword or ASIN that you're trying to do. Because if you map this out even over several weeks, if you get this granular with it, the curve just looks a little bit wonky. It's hard to make any sense out of it. One other thing that I would point out is that if you're going to day part using Marketing Stream, typically, at least from my point of view, you're going to want to look at, say, the last 30 days, and you're going to say, okay, these are the hours where the ROAS is very low. And so if we pause the campaigns out or lower bids, we can capture that much more spend and hopefully shift the counter in a better direction. The problem is if you go in 30 or 60 days to redo this process, now granted, I don't think 2 a.m. is going to radically swing in performance, but if you're going to look at the data later to check out your windows to see which ones are good or not, there's not going to be any data for that because you day parted it away. So it is an inherent kind of aha gotcha when it comes to doing this, because inherently it's just going to be a blank window, so you can't actually see what the performance is because you're not doing anything with it. The other thing that I'll point out is as Marketing Stream becomes more mainstream, I would expect the data, the CPCs, to equilibrate more, because as more people are day parting away during these sub 1.0 ROAS times from midnight to 4 a.m. PST, then the CPCs during those times are going to come down. I think it's going to be a while until it equilibrates really well, but over time I would expect the radical difference between ROAS from as soon as everybody's budgets turn on to later at peak shopping time to kind of tend to go more towards each other. So that's all I've got. If there's anything else that you want to see here that interests you about this, let me know. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments as far as everything that I've said here. But until then, have a great holiday.